Well, it's that time of year again, performance review season. And let's be honest, if you've ever felt like employee evaluations are just this huge, stressful paperwork exercise, you're definitely not alone. From the employee side, reviews often feel like a total surprise judgment that just comes out of nowhere. And for managers, they're a heavy administrative burden that pulls you away from your actual work. But what if we completely flipped the script? Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to break down exactly how to structure feedback that actually drives momentum rather than resentment. We're going to take those dreaded evaluations and transform them into seriously powerful tools for growth. So, here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with why traditional reviews fail, then move into frameworks for clear feedback. After that, we'll look at specific phrasing examples by role, navigate some complex trends, and finally, talk about using reviews as retention tools. Section 1. Why traditional reviews fail. Let's get right into it. You know the old annual review? It relies on a single, high-stakes meeting filled with massive memory gaps and super generic catchphrases. It's just an outdated model that simply doesn't survive in today's fast-moving environments. Think about it. When you wait 12 months to give feedback, you're relying on biased memories. You basically end up evaluating the person based on what they did last week rather than their entire year of work. Modern teams demand transparency now. The new standard is all about frequent, bite-sized, and heavily growth-oriented check-ins. Instead of looking backward to judge past performance, modern reviews look forward. They focus strictly on behaviors and outcomes that will actually drive future success. Generic phrases like meets expectations might feel safe and easy to write, but they are incredibly frustrating to read. When feedback is vague, employees are left entirely in the dark. They quietly ask themselves questions like, what exactly did I do well? Or what should I do differently next time? If someone doesn't know what they did right, they can't replicate it. And if they don't know what went wrong, they definitely can't fix it. Effective reviews completely remove this guesswork. They replace all that corporate jargon with concrete, narrative feedback that answers these underlying questions head-on. Section 2. Frameworks for clear feedback. Okay, so great feedback isn't about being some gifted writer. It's literally a proven formula. The absolutely most effective review statements follow a highly logical pattern: action, impact, and outcome. By focusing exclusively on observable work, you instantly strip away any personal bias. And this structure dramatically reduces defensiveness. You see, you're no longer critiquing the character of the person. You're objectively analyzing the work they produced. When an employee feels that their work is being evaluated rather than their personality, they become infinitely more open and receptive to guidance. Take a look at this statement. Leading a cross-functional initiative that reduced process duplication by 22%, saving the team roughly 40 hours each month. This is the perfect embodiment of clarity over commentary. The action here is leading the initiative. The impact is the 22% reduction in duplication, and the outcome is the measurable 40 hours saved. It leaves absolutely zero room for misinterpretation. The employee knows exactly what they did right, and leadership can clearly see the business value of that specific action. Ambiguity is practically the #1 reason performance reviews feel unfair. So how do you fix that? By grounding the entire conversation in SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. When you align your feedback with these pillars, the discussion instantly shifts from emotional to factual. Instead of offering a super vague directive like telling someone they just need to improve communication, you can actually measure performance against a clear target. A clear target sounds more like leading the Q3 client presentation and gathering actionable feedback. And the data backs this up entirely. Teams that use SMART-aligned goals see a massive 34% improvement in goal achievement compared to teams that are just relying on qualitative, feeling-based reviews. 34%. That number alone proves that clarity directly drives performance. Factual reviews give your employees a solid, objective foundation to stand on. Because when the goalpost is firmly planted in the ground, employees can focus all their energy on scoring, rather than just trying to guess the rules of the game. Section 3. Phrasing examples by role. This next part is absolutely crucial because we are going to highlight specific review phrasing examples for individual contributors, managers, and leadership roles. The exact same behavior means very different things depending on a person's seniority. Let's look at an individual contributor first. For them, the focus is squarely on reliable execution and communication. Stating that they consistently delivered assigned tasks on time and proactively flagged blockers early is highly effective. It hits right on their direct output and praises their early communication. And this is vital because an individual contributor's early communication ultimately protects the broader team's timeline. It clearly shows them that their personal reliability has a massive ripple effect on the entire project. Now, as we step up to the manager level, the lens changes completely. A manager is no longer just delivering tasks. Their primary job is to enable others to deliver. Therefore, the phrasing has to shift to match. Praising a manager because they created clarity during a period of shifting priorities targets their true value. It focuses on how well they guide their team through ambiguity. It highlights their ability to manage stress and appropriately balance workloads. Great manager feedback always centers on how well they multiply the effectiveness of the people reporting directly to them. Finally, at the leadership level, the horizon expands again. Leaders are judged on how seamlessly they synchronize entirely different parts of the business. Feedback stating they aligned cross-functional teams around a shared objective is exactly what good looks like at the top. It moves way beyond individual task management and evaluates true organizational impact and strategic alignment. A leader's review should always reflect their ability to break down silos, reduce duplicate work, and literally improve the speed of delivery across the entire company footprint. Section 4. Navigating complex performance trends. Navigating difficult conversations requires immense precision. Saying something like, "you lack ownership," is a harmful subjective attack on an employee's personality. It immediately damages trust and triggers defensiveness. But watch what happens when you shift that phrasing to state that tasks are sometimes escalated before initial solutions are explored. That completely changes the dynamic. It transforms a personal attack into actionable behavioral guidance. It gives the employee a specific, objective habit that they can actually work on changing. They stop feeling attacked and they start feeling coached. Managers often feel they have to choose between either praising an employee or correcting them. But actually, it's entirely possible to acknowledge progress and gaps simultaneously, without sugarcoating the reality of the situation. In fact, glossing over mixed performance doesn't protect morale. It actually erodes trust. The absolute strongest reviews are honest. They validate the positive contributions, like meeting deadlines under pressure, while also clearly identifying the specific behavioral patterns that still require improvement, like cross-team collaboration. When an employee's work quality begins to decline, the goal isn't to punish them. The goal is to diagnose the issue. Now, documenting a drop in performance is notoriously difficult, but by stepping back and focusing purely on the facts, like slipping timelines despite similar workloads, you shift from shaming to problem solving. Offering to revisit prioritization or reset support structures creates necessary accountability. Crucially, it does so while entirely preserving the employee's dignity, inviting them to be a real part of the solution. A lot of modern teams use 360-degree feedback to get a wider perspective, and input from peers and direct reports is incredibly useful for spotting hidden collaboration habits. However, there is a major trap here: popularity effects. Research heavily cautions against using peer feedback alone for promotions. So, to keep the process objective and fair, you absolutely must utilize anonymous input, train your reviewers on bias awareness, and always anchor that peer feedback with hard, objective performance data. Section 5. Reviews as retention tools. In today's highly competitive market, performance reviews are far more than just human resources administrative tasks. They are a primary retention tool. How you deliver feedback directly influences whether your best people decide to stay or look elsewhere. Employees who receive clear, fair, and frequent evaluations report significantly higher trust in their leadership. They have much greater role clarity, and most importantly, they feel a much stronger sense of confidence about their long-term career trajectory with your company. A review should never just end with a final score. That is a massive missed opportunity. Always end the evaluation with clear direction for the future. Transform the conversation from a judgment of the past into true forward momentum. A strong closing establishes a specific focus for the coming quarter, like improving stakeholder communication, and it sets up a routine check-in schedule. This kind of tangible commitment proves to the employee that you are deeply invested in their ongoing success. I want to leave you with this final thought to consider the next time you sit down to write an evaluation. Does your current feedback push people out, or does it help them grow? When reviews are grounded in real work, utilize clear frameworks, and actually respect the context of the role, they cease to be a burden. They become a genuine engine for development. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Take these frameworks, apply them to your next conversation, and just watch how it transforms the momentum of your team.